welcome back to another video, and this is my comparison of the iPad Pro and the MacBook Pro. By the way, this is not the newest MacBook Pro. This is the MacBook Pro from last year, so this will not have the new reliable scissor switches. It'll still have the old butterfly keyboard. To get into the video, why is the iPad so much better, and why is the MacBook so much better? Well, some things about the iPad. With recognition, you get facial recognition. It's a little bit more convenient since you don't have to go all the way up to the top of the keyboard. But on the MacBook, you only have Touch ID, which I think is not as good. Trackpads. Let's start off with the iPad. So, the iPad's is an okay size. It's manual, so it actually clicks. And you can also do gestures on it. The MacBook also has gestures as well. It's also huge, it's massive, and it's not manual. It is haptic. I don't personally love the haptic, but it's okay. How about chips? Well, the MacBook is of course better. Well, that's actually not true. It's the iPad. The iPad comes with the A12Z, and we option the MacBook to be with the Intel Core i5. The iPad has a scissor keyboard, which is much better than the MacBook. Of course, the MacBook has its butterfly keys, which are known for failing in reliability problems. However, the newer MacBooks do fix this problem, and they have the same exact keys that the iPad with Magic Keyboard has. What are some of the advantages that the iPad has? Well, you can take it off the keyboard, use it as a tablet, which is very cool. It's actually a touch screen. But however, on the MacBook, you do not get that functionality. You only get the touch bar, and you do not get a touch screen. Another advantage that goes to the iPad is, of course, it has the Apple Pencil, which snaps on with magnets up at the top and charges there and just stays there. But the MacBook doesn't even have an Apple Pencil, so of course you could draw, and it's super fun. It's absolutely amazing on the iPad Pro. All about operating systems. The iPad has iPad OS with the widgets at the side. iPad OS is very good. Of course, has dark mode right over there. iPad OS is absolutely amazing upgrade from iOS 12, and I highly recommend you to install it if nobody has already installed it. It came out like a year ago, but I have iPad OS 14, and it's absolutely amazing. It gets good for the MacBook Pro. It actually has macOS. You might like macOS because, of course, macOS has way more features than iPad OS, especially for pro people, and that's some good reasons why you could buy the MacBook Pro over the iPad Pro. But this is also a good thing that the MacBook has, is that you actually get pro apps like Final Cut Pro and Logic Pro and a ton of other pro apps. And that's another reason why it might be good for some people to buy the MacBook Pro. Talk about design. The iPad Pro, if you get the Magic Keyboard, has a floating design, also with curved edges, which makes it very aesthetically pleasing. And now, the MacBook Pro has just a sharp border, and it does not have the floaty design, but it's a more classic design. And how about viewing angles? The MacBook can go all the way back here, but the iPad Pro, however, could only go this far back, not as far back as the MacBook. So if you're planning to use this more on your lap because they're considered laptops, then you should probably get the MacBook Pro. iPad has a better screen than the MacBook. The iPad has 120 Hz, so all your content is silky smooth. The MacBook, however, only has a 60 Hz display, which is not as fast and smooth. And also the iPad also gets a brighter display at 600 lumens, but the MacBook only gets 500 lumens. How about front-facing cameras? The iPad Pro has a pretty good 1080p front-facing camera for FaceTime and whatever you want to do with your front-facing camera. But the MacBook, it only has a 720p front-facing camera. So if you're planning to do video calls on the MacBook, you'll look like a potato. Once again, let's talk about the design again. The iPad Pro has a weird rubbery type finish on the keyboard, which it also gets a lot of grease stains and it doesn't look very aesthetically pleasing. But the MacBook Pro is made out of aluminum, very high quality, and does never get stained. In my personal opinion, it all comes down to preference. The iPad Pro is good at doing some things. The MacBook Pro is good at doing some things. The iPad Pro is more fun since you can remove it from the keyboard case and you can draw on it. But the MacBook Pro is more professional with a lot of pro apps. But the iPad has a better chip. And, well, my personal opinion, I would choose the iPad, but it's your preference and your opinion. If you want to buy the MacBook, buy the MacBook. But some schools, if you want to get it for school, get the MacBook because nobody's going to specialize with iPads. Techie, why do you like the iPad? Well, I like how it has a touch screen. I can't get away from that because I've never really used a MacBook. Keep in mind, this is not my MacBook, this is my brother's MacBook. But the iPad, I get the touch screen, you can take it off the keyboard, and I just like it a ton. And by the way, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, and also check out my Discord server, which will be linked in the description down below. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one.